So welcome everybody to the Global Youth Workers Learners Network meeting today on Friday the 19th. And today we are going to focus on the African Youth Goals, and we're joined by members and ambassadors from the Young Voices of Africa. This is an opportunity for youth workers and people who work with young people and everybody involved in the wider Global Youth Workers Learners Network to connect and support the members of Young Voices of Africa with this ongoing amazing endeavor that they have to create and to platform the African Youth Goals. So just to note that this meeting will be recorded and it will be accessible to people after the meeting. If you'd like to turn off your camera, that's no problem. We will be having breakout rooms; those won't be recorded. So if you do want to turn off your camera now, in the breakout room, you can turn it on, you won't be recorded. If you are looking to have subtitles, you can select it via your screen, so I can't put it on for you. So that's the steps are to select CC Live transcript at the bottom bar on your screen, and then select show subtitle, and then the subtitles will appear at the bottom of the Zoom window. There will also be a recording, so if it's a case of wanting to watch back, you can often do that. One of the things that's really important for the network is to allow people to connect and get to know each other. There's often new people on the calls and they haven't met each other before, and there's often like old friends who can't wait to catch up with each other. So we have a prompt for you to get started, and after that, when you come back, we'll get really stuck into introducing the Young Voices of Africa and their African Youth Goals. So just to warm up, we're going to split into breakout rooms of about 4 people. For a second. And we are this kind of the theme of today is somewhat about looking forward. But sometimes in order to look forward, to recognize where we've come from. And so our prompt question for today is, if you could share something about our current world and their future world with your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, you can add as many greats as you want, then what would that be? So I will pop that into the chat there. So just to clarify, you're imagining that you're having a conversation with your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and or a great-great-great relative, and you're sharing, well, like, this is what's happening in our world today. Okay.
Kevin!
Across the room. throwing hellos across the room.
Hello, Nadia.
How are you?
Okay. So just in time, Nadia, for the next part, which is so the main focus for today is the African Youth Goals, and we really wanted to have different perspectives from the Young Voices of Africa with us today, and clearly able to hear them. So Alhassan is present with us today, so you might have been in a breakout room with him, but sometimes the connection is a bit like breaks up a little bit. So what we decided to do was Alhassan pre-recorded a video to introduce to you the Young Voices of Africa.
My name is Alhassan Kallon from the Young Voice of Africa, the co-founder. I'm presently residing in Sierra Leone, West Africa. Of course, the Young Voice of Africa is a diverse and dynamic group of young people across the Africa continent, Africa diaspora, leaders who are ready to amplify their voices, making our voices to be heard on various issues that affect our community and continent as a whole. We come from a range of background or culture, ethnicity. The Young Voice of Africa has defined us as a youth and as a clear representative of the youth of Africa we are yearning for. So as a group, we are addressing issues like community development, social justice, entrepreneurship, youth development goal, climate change, healthcare, and education. As a group, we have a critical tools that represent us, which is the Africa Youth Goal. It's a goal that talks about advocacy, empowerment among young people in Africa. So millions of men and women, they have been asking, what defines us as youth in Africa? So we see the Africa Youth Goals that talks about poverty, unemployment, identification crisis, education, inclusivity, participation, entrepreneurship as youth. That is what defines us as youth. So today we have been privileged to host so many programs to amplify our voices, to create a platform where young people will be the solution to nation development. So Young Voices of Africa, we have been able to commence a youth conference where we sit with legislators, entrepreneurship, community leader, traditional leader, and local people to talk about development. Today, we have been able to celebrate International Women's Day. Today, we have been able to support education as young people. The solution of Africa is in the hands of the young people. They are the golden opportunity Africa deserves. So a platform that showcases the skills, tolerance, respect, inclusivity, and giving opportunity to youth in order to amplify their voices. We see the Young Voice of Africa in relationship to the Sustainable Development Goal as a pathway to nation building. So today, we are the Young Voice of Africa, and we represent a critical force for positive change.
So Alhassan in the room, so you give a clap there or a heart.
Yeah.
Alhassan, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I have so many things to add because of time, and my leader is here, Kelvin. I think the platform is for him, and of course, this is not my. I did not ready for this opportunity. This opportunity was in my heart, but the skills and the empowerment for me to execute has been the major concern. But since meeting with leaders across the world and our leader, Kelvin Akpaloo, I think he has driven me to a situation that, yes, this is a call for change and this is a call for development, that the solution we have been hiding for, and we have reached into a destination that a golden opportunity for Africa development, and we are the salvation to our salvation. And the Young Voice Africa Youth Goal is the solution to our problem. For me, I don't have nothing. It's not about charity, it's about justice. And we see our youth goal as a justice, not charity. So today, we are here as a critical force for positive change. We are the solution to our problem. So this is my addition to class.
Thank you, Alhassan, and exciting that we also got some of your live words as well, and really nice to have the backup of the video to give us an overview of the community of solidarity that you guys are part of. So I'm gonna pass it to Nikki next. So Nikki is going to introduce herself and share her role as part of Young Voices of Africa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nikki, as you see on the screen, but I ask people to call me Nikki. I'm really delighted to be part of the Young Voice of Africa. And I've previously worked with youth here in Ireland, and I'm currently a youth leader for Irish Refugee Council, working with young migrants. So I really feel like this Young Voice of Africa is has a very powerful tool, using the goals to impact policy change in Africa, as well as, let's say, Ireland, because I'm an ambassador here in Ireland, listening to the young voices of Africa, young migrants' voices. So there's it also helps to improve lives as well. Like there's different programs that goes on in Africa that are really, really making the change, making that impact that we request for. So I'm really delighted to be part of this. So I will pass it on to Kevin to just help us elaborate more on this. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Nika. We could hear you, but you're a bit freezy. So maybe just thinking about that for the rooms. Yeah, we could hear you, but just for the breakout rooms, if you have a way to change to a hotspot or something, that might be supportive.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you. Kelvin?
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me properly. My name is Kelvin Akpaloo, the CEO and president of the Young Voice of Africa. It's a pleasure to be here. Normally, I work with different organizations in Ireland and also internationally. I have been collaborating a lot with the National Council of Ireland, and they have they are one of our huge supporters when it comes into the Young Voice of Africa, helping us to amplify our voices. So as Alhassan, our Vice President of Young Voice of Africa, mentioned, and also we have Nikki, who's the ambassador also in Ireland. And at the moment, we don't have, in Ireland, we do have LA, and the same thing as, we do have LAs. LAs in YVA means that leaders of ambassadors. So we are missing Fatima, who's also the leader of ambassadors in Ireland. And then in here, we have like to kind of like acknowledge some of the people that have been working with Young Voice of Africa since we started. We don't have the LA of Sierra Leone, which is the leader of ambassador from Sierra Leone, Ambassador Alamami. He's not here at the moment. But we do have LA from Ireland. We have Gazy here, who's also from Ireland, from Ghana, sorry. We do have our LA also from South Sudan, which is Ambassador Durmus also is here. But there are so many young people outside in the continent. So Young Voice of Africa, a quick shell, is basically, it's an organization now that was created by young people. It actually started from a discussion, a Zoom event that was created by NYCI. And after the event, there was an idea that says that, wait, if we have never had a moment of where we have youth leaders across Africa are on the same platform. So why don't we seal this opportunity and actually stay together? And that was where the idea came from. That's where we ended up staying together. And now we are almost 2 years now. The organization is formally registered in Ghana. We have different ambassadors in different countries like Sierra Leone, South Sudan, Guinea, Togo. Is quite across, but our active members, we do have in association, we have different departments. So we have, as we said, we have president, vice, we have LAs, we have ambassadors. So the ambassadors represent, and the LAs represent the youth that are really implementing actions within their countries. And then we have members. At the moment, we have about almost 105 members within the group that we always have constant meeting. Saturdays, we are always having a meeting and talking about either the youth goals or the issues that is happening within Africa or the continent. In that sense, I would like to maybe present you a little bit more to the reason why we are here today, the African Youth Goals, and how it came about. So during our early stages of YVA, the Young Voice of Africa, one thing that I saw and I presented to the group was that in Europe, there is a European Youth Goals. And European Youth Goals are goals that was established and developed by young people. And then these goals are now being implemented in policy making. European Parliament is using it. The European Commission is using it. Other organizations like NGOs like ourselves are also using these youth goals that was developed by young people in their work. And then in Africa, Africa does not have something like that. It does, like, you do have NGOs that have developed, like, maybe work with some young people and say, oh, this is what young people want, but it's really leave a lot of young people also. So the idea of this came from the influence of the European Youth Goals. And then we decided that why don't we actually have a formal document that states that was actually developed by African youth. And this is not just two people sitting down, two African people sitting down, but Africans who are across the continent, youth leaders across the continent, really sitting down, and also not just the continent, but also the diaspora, coming together and saying that these are the issues that we want to tackle as young people in Africa. And we hope that it reaches the same impact that the European Youth Goals is doing. It also does the same for the benefit of Africa and also African youth. So through that is where we ended up starting and discussing. It took us 1.5 years to actually develop this document. And we came up with 15. We realized that 15 goals that we hope that that is actually a big challenge for African youth, and also we see that could help the development of Africa. And these are the 15 goals that today you will be able to have a look at it. It will be nice for us to hear your views about these goals, what you think about it, and how you see it, where you think that it could reach, how maybe you can think that it will be, you can use it within your work. So the main thing is this is how the youth goals came about, developed by the youth, organized by the youth, run by the youth. Is the same thing about the Young Voice of Africa. Everything is all done by us. As our Vice President Alhassan has mentioned, we have done so many we have done 2 big events at the moment. We had a youth conference in Sierra Leone that we were hoping to have only 50 members, but we ended up having 500 members in the community. And it was also that day, the Paramount Chief also acknowledged that day as the Young Voice of Africa Day. So now on the 30th of December is a community event day in Sierra Leone in Makini Panlap. And that day is Young Voice of Africa Day, where the people come together to celebrate the youth of Africa. And then also we hosted when the International Women's Day coming, we also did a big event going to schools and empowering women to also be part of to be part of our group. One of the things that we realized, to finish it very quickly, one of the things that we also realized was that the group, we were missing the voices of the of African youth, like the women within the group. So it was one of the big things that the International Women's Day was huge for us, because we wanted to advocate to get women, African and women young voices also within the group. So now we also have a women's forum, and again that is led by Fatima, who's unfortunately not here. So yeah, this is the Young Voice of Africa. This is how the youth goals came about. And I would like to, I would just like to just share a quick screen things with you, if that's okay. So here, just some of our actions. We are in collaboration with Calm Artistic Europe here. But if you can see, this is some of our work that we have done. If you go on this website, you will see our mission, our vision. You can see that we went to our Vice, we're going to school, we're giving donations. We had a female football tournament. This is our ambassadors in Sierra Leone cooking, preparing for the event, going to schools, talking about the goals, talking about female empowerment, community. We had a parade about the event. We had the conference where we had members of the community come in the conference to celebrate with us. And another thing here, I don't know if you can see our Instagram. If you can see it, so this is our Instagram. We have this is a politician from from Brussels, from Belgium, a young female politician who endorsed our goals, and also the association. We are in a collaboration with Calm Artistic Europe, which is an association here in Spain. And these are some of our ambassadors talking about International Women's Day and the importance of women. If you go on the website, you will clearly see some of the actions that we have been doing and the work that we have been doing. So yeah, thank you so much for coming today. And it will be very nice to hear your views on the goals. So yeah, I'll pass it back to Neve for the next section of the event.
Great, Kelvin. And you got a lot of people looking for the Instagram channel for the chat and the website. So if you could pop into the Zoom chat, the link to the website, that people can check it out more and scroll through and see all the amazing things that you're doing. And you got a comment of encouragement and support from Lavina there too. So we are going to move to breakout rooms to start to discuss these goals in themselves. So the group will be split into 3 groups, and one will be hosted by Nike, one will be hosted by me, and one will be hosted by Kelvin. And we're going to use Jamboard to record like the different thoughts, impressions, and answers to some of the questions that are going to be prompted within the group. And this is an opportunity for the Young Voice of Africa to show these goals to people who are working in this sector and who are connected to young people. And your feedback is very valuable, and any questions that you have arising, either they might be answered in the room, or afterwards we'll also have an opportunity to do a Q&A with Kelvin, Nikki, and the wider Young Voices for Africa ambassadors and members here. So I'm going to pop a Jamboard link into the chat. If in the group, hopefully there'll be one person who can connect to the Jamboard at least and record people's comments. You can decide in your group who that might be. And if you have any trouble in terms of dropping out, I'll also keep an eye on that. So this is all about giving you as much time to discuss as possible. And hopefully by the end of this, we're going to give it about 25 minutes. So hopefully by the end of this, we'll have a record of what your impressions are of the goals that you're looking into, because we're going to look at 5 each. So there's 15 in total, and we're going to look at 5 each. So your impressions, any questions or challenges you see arising with them, and then how you think this could be integrated into your work, or what you might need to be able to integrate these into your work. So yeah, we're just going to have a few minutes before we do a closing round to hear kind of what was coming up in the groups and kind of which direction the conversation took. So I'm going to invite Nike, if you'd like to. I'm not going to share the screen immediately, but I will share it before the end, just because I think it draws on people's internet connection and we lose people. So Nike, if you'd like to share with us a bit around what your group talked about.
Yes, just an overview. And again, I would like to call on anybody in our group. If I've missed anything, please share it. Taking the notes, please share whatever I've missed out. So thank you so much. So an overview of what we've talked about. We really talked about partnership, network, and practicality of things, and also the sharing, like the power in collective action and collective society. So mainly regarding the partnership side of things, if we can share the skills, share the ideas, or even share the the ways of doing things, like for example, like as Sinead said, there's like we here in Ireland, there's many youth workers, and youth work has been established years, decades. So like there's power in partnership. So if we can share the skills and also network in learning from one another, and also the practicality of things and how to get the funding, for example, ways of not about charity based now, but ways of getting fundings to also establish the voice of the youths. Also regarding the cultural side of things, for example, Sarah said something about, visiting a church and also spreading the word about mental health. So the wording side of things. So, people here in Ireland or over the world can learn about, okay, are the phrases used in African terms in order to also empower the youths that are here, share the information better. Does anybody else want to come in to, give an insight, please?
Yeah. Of course, and I thank you very much for this presentation. Of course, we see communication and awareness to be very important tools we should use as young people to communicate to the rest of the world, for them to understand what we want, what defines us as youth in Africa. So that is very important. The channel of communication and the acceptance and involvement of communication is very important for any smooth progress of whatever development we want to take. If they involve and accept that this is what we want as a youth, and this is the involvement, a total involvement can only show us that, yes, this is the achievement, because involvement is achievement and communication is power. When you communicate, you get to understand. And this kind of communication is build the network that this is what Africa wants, and this is what the world involved in the development of Africa youth into our Africa Youth Code. So I think it's very important. Communication is very important. So thank you very much, Nike.
Does anybody like to come in from our group?
To remind you of who was in your group, that was Anya from UNESCO, Carol, Lizzie, Alhassan.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lizzie.
Like how fantastic it is, and how we should also be raising awareness of the existence of the organisation and the goals here in Ireland. Just not only to break down some of the stereotypes and also the very prevalent charity approach that we take here in Ireland, that's still very strong, as regards how we help and what we do and everything like this. And I guess we have such commonalities between the goals for youth all over the world, and it's kind of bringing those kind of commonalities together, I guess, to break down how we should approach having better justice and better equality in the world.
Yes. And also to add on that, there was one question that was asked about climate change. Who is, creating that change? Who is bringing that change? And the answer was that mainly there's nobody creating that change, but there's power in youth's voice to say, okay, this is how we want that change. So here, bring it to us. This is how we want the change. And also, here, there's so many suggestions that, youth workers or youth leaders have seen that has worked here in Ireland or maybe over the world, that also can be suggested to be utilized in Africa. So I feel like there's power in the voices youth, and also that network or collaboration piece or partnership piece really are main core values to hold, or core tools to implement, the goals. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Nika. And then we will move to our group, then we'll move to your group, Kelvin. I'll just give a quick overview. We had a lot of internet connection issues, but we did have people with stronger internet connection. Our kind of overall first impressions was that it's so important and so valuable that it's youth-led, that there's similarities and differences for young people across the world, and they should both be acknowledged. That something like this is very positive for inclusion, because both in itself that the people who are being included in the process, but also that the people who are not from who don't have the same lived experiences can draw on these voices, the young voice of Africa, and also the goals that have emerged from the group within their work. That there's many wider networking opportunities for Young Voices of Africa, and that organizations, we had Goshka in our group, and we had the ETBs, and we had YMCA representatives, that actually opportunities for building direct connections with organizations could be very supportive, both for the diaspora and the Young Voices of Africa based on the continent. And then some of the other things that came up were that the goal. Hernan, do you want to share what you were sharing about your experience in South America? I'm sure Hernan's still there. I'll come back to that point in case he unmutes. But we had that there's a need for empowerment and capacity building within the group, and resources to support that within Young Voices, but also outside of the Young Voices group, but people who might be potential members of Young Voices and also potential actioners of the youth goals, thinking about where the spaces are that can support these actions, and both the spaces like to support working on these projects themselves for Young Voice of Africa, but also thinking about like where's the kind of the consultation spaces, where the the strategic implementation of these individuals, these ambassadors, these leaders, for getting the word out there, but also for actually embedding these ideas into policy and into the papers that dictate the decisions that are going to be made on behalf of or that affect young people. There was Faye shared with us. Faye, do you want to share your key quote that I'm going to remember from today? You're just unmuting there, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's what gets measured gets attended to, what gets attended to gets done.
Yes. So this idea that if we have some, we were talking about like what's the utility of having a framework or having goals, and we're talking about if having goals means that you can create a measurement structure and that supports accountability as well. So the YMCA are also organising an event around anti-racism, and they have stakeholders attending that, and it's a opportunity for to hold stakeholders accountable for the work they're doing. And if you have a structure there that says, this is what we've signed up to, then it's a lot easier to point and say, this is what you've agreed to, and this is where you're failing us, or where you're not meeting what your responsibilities are and our rights. And then also maybe other frameworks could support that are already existing. So how can the African Youth Goals connect with other frameworks? And we had Yemi is can't speak out loud, but she's very supportive via the chat. And Yemi is sharing that it's good to be ambitious and nothing is impossible. There's their voices and your voices, and we need to support them. So a lot of solidarity in the group for Young Voice in Africa. So Kelvin, just pop on to you quickly. We're just getting up to 12:30 now. You're on mute. Just having a great conversation there yourself.
So with our group, it started with questions, a lot of questions about and interesting questions and good questions about YVA and what is its motive, its goal, because as you can see, Chris is not here because he was leaving so early. So he had some few questions about that he wanted it to be answered before. But so in that sense, we ended up having limited time to touch on all the 5. But the ones that we touched on was the connecting African youth with AU. And Kate, if you are you two can please, if you can jump in anytime. I think during that conversation, we read about what that means, and everyone in the group really supported the idea and what it's about. One of the things that I think it was mentioned, I would just maybe leave it, say quick, and then Kate, you can come in and say, I was putting it in the chat, was that where is our Young Voice of Africa kind of like going? How do we reach to the AU? How do we actually reach there? And who is getting us there? And do we know somebody that is there? But one thing that we said was that, like was mentioned, was that we don't have at the moment, that is our aim, but we are just taking it step by step in order to reach there, because and one of the steps that we are now on is this event that we are having, because we don't want to shoot to the very top and then without having a structure or a base where you end up being in a position of where politicians or big leaders can just take something and this initiative and claim it as their own. but with organizations, international organizations backup, it will help us to move forward. And then from then on, I think Kate suggested, I don't know if I heard it right, but I think Hearts Ladder or
Yeah, so Hearts
yeah.
Ladder, so Kelvin's discussion about the participation plan, I suppose, for embedding AU or embedding the work with the AU really resonated with me in my role in the organization I work for. And I was on a youth participation Erasmus last year in Germany and was introduced to this concept of, it's called Roger Hart's Ladder of child participation, but it can be translated to work with young people and young adults. And it brings it from the bottom step, which is the manipulation of young people for adults gain, to the top step of shared decision making with young people and adults. And it's a really nice step-by-step concept, and even the visual itself is really helpful, because as Kelvin said, it needs to be a sustainable step-by-step process where nobody can come in and claim the work that's being done by the organization, that it's done in a way in which the young people and the African youth have agency over that, and really have grown with it. And I fell in love with the concept, so I've been sharing it with everyone that I've worked with since. But yeah, it's a really helpful tool.
You just unmute, Kelvin.
Yeah.
And one
Can
last thing.
Sorry, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Kelvin, I cannot promise, but my role is to share the problems around the young people facing around the world, especially when I'm hearing what you're talking about. And I really want to be, I want to put my heart into these problems and do my best. And I also would like to invite you, if you want to be invited to talk with all young people. We just start the climate change, the ocean justice workshop. I really would like to invite you to the meeting with the young people. We start working the workshop. If you are okay to share your email with Neve to let me be connect with you, I will be very appreciate to let you talk with all girls from the North Tipperary Traveler Project. They're working on the workshop, the world recycling map. We're going to advertise this map on the Tipperary Star as well. That's the plan. But everything is about exact Africa problems. We just spoke yesterday with Hernan and the young people to let them know how you're facing the big issues, the poverty, the lack of the clean water and everything. We just started yesterday the first session. I really appreciate if you want to talk with them in person. That will be amazing. Would you like to do it?
It will be a pleasure, really. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
You're very, very, very welcome, Kelvin. I'm just so happy to meet you and other people, young people from Africa. This is amazing to see you and to meet you and to share the problems everywhere, because I am like a person who's doing as I can to save the environment, but only one person can do a little bit. But if we met each other, if we connect each other with the great communication, we can do much more. And I believe in that. Thank you.
Can I touch up on just following what she said? There was one question that was asked in the group. How do you think we can, be part of, how do you think, I think that was Lizzie's question. If you want to reframe that question again, please.
Me?
No, Lizzie was asking.
I'm here. It was just how can we help kind of, like what I loved just about another group was talking about that a lot of the time things are hijacked by international NGOs, I have to say a little bit, you know, saying it's their idea or their initiative or whatever. I just think the strength of this organization and the goals of where it comes from, and it comes directly from young people, has such, like, how can we kind of raise more awareness of this? And part of it is, I suppose, my own kind of work and thinking of like that breaking down of stereotypes and that breaking down of the charity approach. But how can we, like, you know, I suppose, raise more awareness? And I think, you know, the more that we can, I suppose, one thing that came up in our group was like a platform as well. Platform and showing that platform. So opportunities, I don't know maybe how it will be organized, but just to like, and as many kind of, if you guys are willing to have as many platforms in Europe possibly can, to like for all of those reasons, would be really, really great. And if you're open to that would be amazing.
And also
I agree with Lizzie.
And you know that thing about partnership as well, you know, liaising one person from Europe to Africa, you know, sharing the skills, sharing the ideas. So it's really important if you're a member, if you're part of this Young Voice of Africa, it really, really will create a backbone structure that it won't allow, you know, local those governments to, you know, steal the idea and say, oh, we have this idea. So there's power in numbers, mainly. There's power in numbers. Yeah. I think
we have to be careful of that hijacking of, like, you know, and also like giving a platform, but giving a platform with proper integrity, like that it's not just tokenistic as well, I think would be really, really important.
I think Faye, you wanted to jump in there, and then Kelvin, if you want to share your last point, and we'll finish up then.
Yeah, excuse me. I've just shared a link there around mutual aid, which is it talks a lot about the hijacking of causes of situations, and how it's something that, you know, can be done from within communities, that doesn't take on a kind of savior narrative, but is one of solidarity. And that's a great opportunity to, I think it's a great resource to discuss with young people and older adults. I lecture on advocacy at UCC, and I use mutual aid in that, and it's just a really important I think idea to put in the heads of young people.
Thank you for sharing that link. I have it recorded there. So Kelvin, you want to share your final point and close us out? And go ahead.
First of all, like, thank you so much, everyone, for all your support and all your comments about the youth goals. I think one of the, in our points, in our group, a point that came about was the tokenism also, how sometimes young Africans or African events or things will be just selected based on the fact that, oh, come and talk about it and that's it. But one thing that we want to acknowledge is that this event is really helps to erase that, because it has organizations backup, you know, and it strengthens, and it also makes young people from Africa and also the diaspora also feel that it's not just us just going to be there to be represented, but actually these organizations have seen our work, and we are being presented based on the work that we are doing, rather than to come and tell our stories. So it's something I was also mentioned, and one of the goals that was also came about that wasn't part of our list was goal number 5, which is youth organizations and developing like African youth programs, where Chris mentioned that is a goal that his organization could also help support with, because he mentioned that sometimes the organization that he works with, they find it difficult to reach out to maybe youth workers in Africa, and how could they do that? And then we just mentioned that for us, our group, we do have members and young people that are really ready to step up in the youth work stage, and then also ready to be facilitators. And so having all of your backup and all of your support really helps, not just in a donation point, but it's more helping develop and empower young people to actually take roles in positions where they can become, it's more like youth empowering youth. You know, this is the kind of like the framework of what the Young Voice of Africa is and what we are pushing for. I think sometimes we also want to come out of the stage of victims, you know, victimization sometimes, where it's like, oh, they are, you know, let's help them, but actually coming from that and holding on to that, we can actually do it, but we just need support, you know, not and that also take away also from like the tokenism ideology. So yeah, so I just want to say that it's for us as a young organization that has is set up it's a privilege to hear all of your viewpoints, and we really, on behalf of the Young Voice of Africa, all of our ambassadors in Sierra Leone, our LAs, in across in Africa, in Ireland, in Europe, all around, we want to say thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity and your viewpoint. And we hope that when the document is done, it's about 90 pages or something like that. So hopefully you get access to read everything that and each maybe goal that's really resonate a lot with your organization. We are also ready to work with it. If you need maybe any an LA or young person from Africa's perspective on a specific point in your organization, please, you're welcome to. For us, the most important thing for us in this stage is really having a huge network with a lot of organizations across, so that our voices could be in so many different rooms in different places. So thank you all so much. And yeah, I'll pass it back to Niamh.
Yeah, thank you everybody, and thank you for your time. We popped the Menti in the chat if you get a chance to do it.
Thank you, Niamh. Thank you to provide this meeting. That was great. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.